This is Go Girl Crazy by the Dictators. Let's talk records. Back in 1973, Andy Chernoff from Queens, sometimes credited as Adney Chernoff, was a music major at State University of New York in New Paltz, and was the creator and editor of his own rock and roll fanzine called Teenage Wasteland Gazette. Back then, Ross the Boss Friedman from the Bronx, sometimes credited as Ross the Boss Funicello, was a badass guitarist for a band called Total Crud. Came together for their love of the MC5, the Stooges, Flaming Groovies, garage rock, The Who, and the New York Dolls. In fact, Friedman went to school with Johnny Gonzalez, later to be known as Johnny Thunders, the legendary guitarist of the Dolls. The two started a band with Chernoff on vocals and bass and Friedman on guitar. They added Scott Top 10 Kempner as rhythm guitarist, and in 1973 the Dictators were born. The band rented a house in Carrington, New York, where the three of them lived and auditioned drummers, ultimately going with Stu Boy King. They began playing shows around town, and their act consisted of their friend and roadie, Richard Bloom, getting up on stage donning a wrestler's outfit, talking smack, ranting and hollering like a wrestler tends to do, calling himself Handsome Dick Manitoba. Manitoba would also help with backing vocals, be like a hype man, and kind of like their mascot. Their whole act caught the attention of Blue Oyster Cult's manager and producer Sandy Pearlman, who got them signed to Epic Records and would produce their debut album with partner Murray Krugman. Go Girl Crazy by the Dictators was released March 1975 on Epic Records. The tongue-in-cheek lyrics were meant to be sarcastic, chock full of irreverent humor, and shockingly funny. Obsessed with junk culture, late-night television, White Castle burgers, wrestling, and party, like Mad Magazine said to music. Manitoba is credited as the secret weapon and graces the album cover. The album cover was shot by David Garr, who had also photographed John Lennon, Bruce Springsteen, Bob Dylan, Janis Joplin, Miles Davis, and others. He sings lead on the album opener, The Next Big Thing, as well as sharing vocals with Chernoff on the cheeky cover version of Sonny and Cher's I Got You Babe, and their songs Teen Generate and Two Top Men. Alan Lanier from Blue Oyster Cult, credited as Alan Glover, contributes keyboards on Teen Generate and the anthemic rocker I Live for Carlson Girls. Despite good reviews, the album was a commercial flop. Epic dropped the Dictators. Chernoff was so crushed that he left the band for a little while and was replaced by Mark Glickman, better known for his stage name Mark the Animal Mendoza, on bass. Chernoff, however, came back to the fold later on keyboards. They signed with Asylum Records and released Manifest Destiny in 1977, which reached 193 on the top 200 albums. After this album, Mark the Animal Mendoza left the band and joined Twisted Sister. They released Blood Brothers in 1978, and despite both albums being produced by Pearlman and Krugman, they both did poorly. After this, the band disintegrated. The Dictators had reunion shows here and there. Friedman would go on to start heavy metal band Manowar, and in the late 80s, Chernoff formed Manitoba's Wild Kingdom with Handsome Dick Manitoba and Ross the Boss. Chernoff wrote and produced Manitoba's Wild Kingdom's 1990 album And You on MCA Records that got good reviews, and the video for the song The Party Starts Now got some airplay on MTV. In 2001, the Dictators released an album called DFFD that also got really good reviews. Chernoff also became a producer for bands like the Barracudas, Guided by Voices, D-Generation, The Untamed Youth, and others. A little bit over a year after the Dictators released Go Girl Crazy, Ramones released their self-titled debut album. Although not as credited as much as later bands like Ramones and Sex Pistols as they should for influencing punk bands to come, especially for their smart aleck attitude, Dictators should be credited as being highly influential.